Welcome back guys, Trey Lowell here, and in today's video we're taking a $1,200 lens and comparing it side by side with a $300 lens to really answer the question, why in the hell would I buy this lens over this guy? Coming up next. So if you're like myself or you're really into cameras, one thing you're probably doing a little research on from time to time is glass. Now I happen to shoot with the Panasonic GH5 and the GH series, so this review will be kind of dedicated to comparing these two lenses on a GH series lens, specifically the Panasonic GH5. Now on my right hand I have the Canon 70-200 f4 lens paired up with a Metabone speed booster when filming. Altogether, this lens plus the Metabone speed booster is coming in around $1,800. And in my left hand, I have the Lumix 35-100 f4 to f5.6. And the reason I'm comparing these two lenses specifically is they actually tend to have the same focal range, or let's say focal distance. So the 35-100 is the equivalent to the 70-200 when kind of put on the Panasonic GH5. Now, when hooked up with the speed booster, we do need to take into consideration this lens basically turns into a 140-200 roughly, so we are going to have a little bit more zoom capabilities with this compared to this guy. Now the three things that I really want to put to the test when comparing these two lenses is we want to definitely go and discuss weight. As you guys can see in my right hand, the Canon piece of glass is absolutely a beast, and in my left hand, the Lumix glass is extremely tiny and can come in handy when traveling. So next up, I want to give you guys a glance. Over the past few days, I've been kind of experimenting with both of these lenses, both outside, inside, and in control environments, so that you guys can get a taste of how these two lenses perform. That being said, let's jump right into some of that footage. First up, we're gonna go ahead and step outside and shoot 4K 24 frames at 10-bit. Now on my left hand side, we have the Lumix glass ISO 100 at an f4, and to my right we have ISO 100 shooting at an f2.8 with the Canon glass. Neither of these shots have been color corrected, but to give you guys an example, this is what it looks like at the 24 frames per second. So for the next shot, we are actually shooting at 4K 24 8-bit, but with a little bit of a twist here, we are in full zoom with both the Lumix and the Canon, just to give you guys an understanding of exactly how much further that Canon can zoom in, comparatively speaking to the Lumix. And like I said, side by side, they both look great, but this gives you an understanding of what 8-bit would look like at 4K at full zoom. So another feature that I wanted to compare side by side with these two pieces of glass is the slow motion feature within the GH5 and how the two lenses react and perform in these different environments. And really what we're looking for here is how are the two different lenses performing. As far as performance goes side by side, they still both look pretty crisp and are holding their own. So this is actually going to be 35 millimeters on the Lumix. We're shooting at an f6.3 actually, just to combat the light right now because we're not using ND filters. We're shooting at an f6.3 on the Canon glass, but with that speed booster, man, that 70 turns into like a $140, which is just, you gotta get pretty far back to get anything even in focus. And last but not least, we are putting the low light to the test, and we're also going to do a little bit of a zoom in. That way you guys can see how the different lenses perform with full zoom, and then back out to their traditional 70 millimeters and 35. And the last thing that I want to touch on is the price and my overall thoughts on both of these two pieces of glass. Now, if you're somebody that has a big budget and you also have the ability to buy the Metabone speed booster, or you just own Canon glass, this setup right here probably would be best suited for you. Overall, what I've found is the footage does seem to be a little bit sharper, and I tend to like the Canon glass a little bit better, especially with it giving me more range, also being able to drop it down to an f2.8, whereas with the Lumix, The lowest you're going to be able to go is an f4. So the Canon definitely outperforms the Lumix, but that comes with about $1,500 more price tag in regards to just getting this to function with the camera. It's definitely nice that you have the stabilization built into this lens. You do have the ability of autofocus, which I did not find to work very well. I stuck with manual focus for all the footage that you guys have been seeing. And then as we make our way to the Lumix glass, this is one that's really interesting because with it being just under $300, this is something that I would recommend for most probably GH shooters, Panasonic camera owners. This would be definitely a nice little lens to have in your bag just from the sheer size, and then the fact that you've got a nice little zoom range with the 35-100. I find that this bad boy is a beast, and this thing is itty bitty and user friendly and definitely nice when it comes to weight and storage. Considering that it is a Panasonic Micro Four Thirds lens, as far as autofocus goes, you're going to get a lot more usable, realistic autofocus when it comes to the Lumix versus the Canon. Like I said, the Canon glass, the autofocus to me, even with the Metabones, has been pretty poor, whereas with the Lumix native glass, it's going to have a little bit better functionality when it comes to autofocus, when it comes to tracking, things of that nature. So once again, that is another plus of getting this little guy coming in at $300. And it makes me kind of think in regards to if I were going to give the best advice when picking these two pieces of glass, if I were going to choose one of these two and I didn't want to break the bank, I would definitely go with the Lumix. And if I just had a ridiculous budget and it didn't matter, I would go to 70 to 200. So I hope that video helped you get a better understanding of what these two pieces of glass bring to the table. And hey guys, it's Trey Lowell with Lowell Productions, and as always, if you like the content I keep creating on this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace.